Good morning from frigid Centennial, Colorado. And since we aren't able to gather in person for worship this morning, I wanted to offer just a few brief words to help center and encourage you. If maybe you, like me, are feeling a bit isolated in this moment, not only because of the way things are outside, but because of the way things are outside. And recognizing that this is a heavy moment for many reasons, and there are reasons to celebrate. There are reasons that we ought to celebrate, and I would argue, owe it to Dr. King and those who've carried on his work and legacy to not simply despair in moments like this. And so, in addition to this little video, I'll put in the comments some of the resources that you might find today. Find inspiration in some of Dr. King's speeches, in learning about some of his other work, and learning about the Poor People's Campaign and how it continues. But I want to offer up a few things. There is a temptation, I think, to give into this particular moment that feels defeated and broken and perhaps hopeless. There's there are a few different ways of responding, and there are times in which I and perhaps you might be inclined towards anger. And I'm recalling my father, who worked with Dr. King, and the language he used for himself was one of his lieutenants, folks who worked with him, alongside him, but also across the country for that common cause. He said something that Martin told us was that when they kill me, and first off, what a difficult kind of conversation to have. As a 40-year-old myself, this is my first year celebrating the legacy of Dr. King when I got to be older than he ever got to be. So my father said, Martin said, when they kill me, make sure you go out and you help people to understand they can't burn everything down, that they can't act in anger in this moment, and that isn't going to help things. And my father remembers getting the phone call that Martin had been killed, and his first action was to walk out of his front door and toward the church that he pastored, and trying to be a leader in community and respond to the community that was inclined towards anger, towards a kind of nihilism, a community who felt that things were so broken that there is nothing worthwhile yet to build, that we ought to simply tear it all down, to say to that community, it is not so. And in fact, your work and your progress and your faithfulness, that these things are good and they are a foundation that can be built upon. Don't tear it all down, don't burn it down. I recognize that we might be inclined toward anger, and I find it in myself. And I don't think that's where Dr. King and others would implore or encourage us to be, and that's not where I want to stay. And so, moving beyond anger, I'll be honest, there is still a bit of cynicism and nihilism that comes to me, and I will often want to be silent, to just be quiet, to keep to myself, to not bother expending energy trying to convince someone else or connect with someone else. And I was so grateful. Someone reminded me of other words of Dr. King, and in a speech that he wrote with the assistance of Vincent Harding, a speech called Beyond Vietnam, encouraging introspection and recognition of America's actions, and some of the brokenness that had continued generation from generation. He said there comes a time when silence is betrayal. And I've decided that there are times in which I might be quiet in order to keep my peace, in order to maintain a sense of hope. And there are times when silence is betrayal. And if I see something happening, if I see people telling lies, if I see people working to hurt other people, there is a time when silence is betrayal, and we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to the hope for beloved community to speak up, to speak out, to make connections so that we can engage in solidarity with and for each other. So My hope and encouragement for you this morning would simply be this, that rather than give in to an inclination toward anger, and rather give in to a perpetual silence, I would encourage you to find space to be a witness, right? Find space to tell a holy truth, a truth that you know, something that has been born of your experience or your connections. Find somewhere to tell the truth. It doesn't have to have an edge to it, but it might. But the way that we will hold together and the way that we can honor this day and the work that's before us is to find a way to be a witness. So may it be so. And may you keep warm wherever you are and know that you are beloved of God. Grace and peace.